Hi guys, Joe Hamilton with Florida Lifestyle Realty located here in Cape Canaveral on the beautiful Space Coast of Florida. If you're thinking about relocating to Brevard County, there's something that not many people mention, and that is the fact that our county is 72 miles long and only 25 miles wide. So you really have to take into consideration that, especially if you're having a work commute, because it can be a very long drive from end to end in the county, depending on where you live and where you work. So let's split the county up into three sections. We'll go north, central, and south. One of the things for you guys to consider is not just maybe where the nicest place is, but convenience depending on where you're working. If you're still working, you have to take that into consideration because the county is so long. I live in Merritt Island, born and raised. I actually worked in Orlando for about a year. I could drive from my house to east side of Orlando faster than I could drive from my house in Merritt Island to Palm Bay. That just shows you the distance that you're covering because the county is so long. Taking into consideration where you guys are working and where you want to be, and again, we're going to break it down into three sections. So let's start with the north end of the county, which would be considered Titusville, Mims, and the Port St. John area. I would consider this your best entry price if you're looking to live in those areas. That area is also very close to the Kennedy Space Center. It's just across the river. So a lot of people are moving to the Titusville area because of that. Also, Titusville is very up and coming, has a nice outdoor mall now. A lot more restaurants are available, and it's kind of an attractive area for people to be living in, especially depending on where they work. And also for you space enthusiasts, it's a great location to watch the rocket launches from. It's directly straight across the river from the Space Center. One other thing to consider when you're talking about your commute is, although we generally don't really have a lot of traffic, especially what you guys might be used to in the New York area, bumper to bumper traffic and 2 and 3 hour commutes, we do have a little bit of traffic, and I would consider it rush hour traffic. It's not that bad, but it's things you need to take into consideration, especially for rocket day, rocket launches, bridges, things along those lines. So let's talk next about what we would consider Central Brevard, which would be where I'm from. It would be Merritt Island, Cocoa Beach, Rockledge, Cocoa, that area. Very centrally located in the county, almost directly in the middle of the county. So is convenient for if you do work up north or you do work up south. It's geographically, the Central Brevard is a great location, especially for the Kennedy Space Center. So I would say a little bit of older houses. You don't have as many options as you would for like the South Brevard area, but a lot of canals, boating is a big part of the lifestyle in this area. It's a nice area. Again, it's really comes down to location and what you guys need. Also, one of the things about that you need to take into consideration, especially about the Merritt Island area, is it is what they consider an island. It's not really an island, but it's a peninsula. It's bridge dependent. So for instance, depending on where you live in Merritt Island, because you are having to travel causeways or the bridge, it may take you a little bit longer for your commute depending on traffic. All right, so let's now talk about the third portion of the county, which would be South Brevard. That would be including Melbourne, Palm Bay, South Beaches like Satellite Beach, Indian Harbour Beach, those areas. A much more spread out area, I would say, especially if you're considering going to the southern end of the county, which would be Palm Bay area. A lot of options for housing, but it is, I'm going to say, a little more crowded down there. Also, that's where Viera is located. Viera is a master plan community, tons of restaurants, a lot of amenities, very up and coming area, lots of restaurants and things to do in the area. But with that comes a little bit of crowd. It is a little bit more busy, so you need to take that into consideration. Also with the South Brevard area, a lot of large employers down there, Harris, 3M, so that's something to take into consideration. A lot of people choose to live in the Melbourne area, South Brevard area, but depending on where your commute is. For instance, if you were working at the Space Center and you chose to live in the Melbourne area, your commute obviously is going to be longer. In the Viera area, there is a VA outpatient clinic, so a lot of people are drawn to that depending on if they're retirees or what have you. It's a nice added benefit for the Viera area. One of the other things about our county being so long is obviously you have to consider your commute. Since we have so much coastline, it does add a lot of waterfront, so that you have a lot of options in waterfront depending on what you want, and you can get a lot more house for the money as compared to like a Tampa, Jacksonville, or even South Florida especially. So it's something to consider. So anyway, just recapping, depending on where you want to live, North, Central, or South Brevard, it's very dependent, in my opinion, on where you're going to spend most of your time and where you're going to work, depending on your commute. So really, I just hope I answered some of your guys' questions about where to live in Brevard County. Again, it's such a long county that you have to take that into consideration. I'd love to have that conversation with you if you guys are looking to relocate. My contact information will be down below. And remember, Joe knows the Space Coast.